Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to the NAMUR Annual Meeting 2023 here in Neuss. At the beginning of the week, I committed a terrible faux pas. I posted with the hashtag NAMUR 2024. Thankfully, somebody pointed it out to me that I was living in the future, but so is NAMUR. NAMUR is always ahead of its time, so let's take it as that. I'm very pleased to meet you here in 2023, and I'm looking forward to next year where we're going to repeat this. This year I'm particularly excited to introduce our sponsor, Schneider Electric, who is going to be a partner for us today in shaping this day in particular and the annual meeting in general.
I'm assuming that there may be also some international participants, maybe also from our colleagues at NAMUR China. NAMUR China just finished their NAMUR China Congress last October or this October and had outstanding attendance there. So for those of you who are joining us here today, also a very warm welcome.
So we are streaming this part, the plenary sessions. And of course, we have a large workshop program that we have prepared for you this afternoon that we cannot fully stream, so you won't be able to see all of them. As usual, I'd like to use the first half hour to give you a bit of an update on what NAMUR as an association has been up to. The slogan we chose is Turn Expertise into Excellence, and I think the expertise that has got together in this room today is absolutely unparalleled, both from the user and the manufacturer side. And in order to underpin that, we have given an update to our vision and mission statements. As NAMUR, we have the claim that we shape automation in the process industry. We're the ones who are pushing it and progressing it from a user perspective. What do we need in the process industry to make sure our plants remain competitive, to make sure that we can rise to the challenges that we are faced with? So that's our vision. The mission statement says that NAMUR is where the experts meet. And in particular, the annual meeting is something that embodies that. When we get together, and some of you were here yesterday already, is like having a school get-together. And it's a good version of that. It's a good version of a class gathering. We transform technologies and concepts into use cases to generate sustainable value for our businesses. And we do that to operate safe, reliable, and efficient plants. I think it's very important that all of us that are involved in the work in NAMUR, who sometimes sacrifice a lot of their private time, but also with the support of the companies that we usually work for. I think it's very important that we carry and translate what we are doing into the companies that we work for, that work for us, that are members, and I think that's what strengthens them and makes them more competitive at the international level. NAMUR sets triggers for innovation. We promote the optimal use of automation and digitalization technologies, and we do so by encouraging and supporting talent. We enrich each other. We provide each other with opportunities to further qualify the people that work for us, but we're also trying to promote the process industry as such. And I'm always pleased to see young colleagues here, graduates, students, and I said that yesterday in our meeting. Reach out to people, reach out, because nobody's going to turn you away. We want to raise awareness for this industry and advertise that it's fantastic to work in this field. So engagement and commitment are very good buzzwords for some highlights of these this first part of the day. That's the badge of honor. Every year we award a badge of honor to somebody who has done good work, and I'd like to ask Michael Peltz on stage. In order for the badge of honor to be awarded, I'd like to ask Sven Zeinz to join us here on stage. Okay, this seems to have worked. Dear Sven, I'm truly delighted that you have been awarded the Golden Badge of Honor today for your many years of invaluable service to NAMUR, and also that I have the honor and I am going to get to be the one who presents it to you. But let me start by introducing you and giving an overview of all your activities for NAMUR. You were born on 14th May 1969, and after leaving school, you successfully completed an apprenticeship as a measurement and control technician at Höchst AG. You then went on to study electrical engineering in Frankfurt, specializing in automation technology. During your studies, you were a working student for the Höchst AG test laboratory under Manfred Dietz. Your dissertation in 1999 was already about the configuration, parameterization and commissioning of various field devices on a Profibus PA reference system, a subject that has featured in your work regularly and continues to do so today. After graduating, you accepted a permanent position at the test laboratory and also started working for NAMUR in the former Fieldbus Working Group 2.6. Mr. Schlingmann at the time was chairman of the working group and later handed over to Franz van Laak. In 2002, you were involved in the Furious study that many of us are familiar with, which determined the advantages of Fieldbus over remote I/O. Together with Wilfried Schmieder and Thomas Tauchnitz from Sanofi, you received an ATP award for an ATP article you wrote. You are also a long-standing member of Working Group 3.9 Type Testing for PCT devices and support the cooperation and coordination among various testing laboratories. This way, you helped lay the foundations for a broad range of type-tested devices that we can deploy in our production plants now. In 2008, you took over as the manager of BIS Prozesstechnik Test Laboratory, and in 2012 you also took over the management of Working Group 2.6, which was called Fieldbus at the time, is now called Digital Process Communication, and which you still head today. At Bilfinger Engineering and Maintenance GmbH, you are the head of product development and of the test laboratory today. At NAMUR, you're also a member of the highly important APL task force that concerns itself with highly relevant topics such as device management and functional safety. Over the years, you've also been involved in a large number of NAMUR recommendations and worksheets, such as the NE74 Fieldbus requirements, NE95 Basic Principles of Homologation, 105 Specifications for Integrating Fieldbus Devices in Engineering Tools for Field Devices, NE7 Self-Monitoring and Diagnostics of Field Devices, Best Practice Fieldbus Applications, Service and Maintenance of the Physical Layer of Field Buses, and last but not least, NAMUR 168 on requirements for a field-level Ethernet communication system, which is the basis for the APL technology, which is so important today. We also see and hear you at the NAMUR annual meetings almost every year in plenary sessions or workshops, but somehow you still find time for activities outside NAMUR, not least in the IGR, the Process Industry Interest Group, of which you are also an active member. With all of this in mind, I think it's quite clear why the NAMUR board has decided to award you the Golden Badge of Honor for your tireless dedication and your personal commitment to NAMUR. And it is my pleasure and my honor to present it to you on behalf of NAMUR today. So Sven, of course, is being honoured, but he also stands for all the other colleagues who are active in our work areas, our working groups, who really shape NAMUR everyday life. And NAMUR would not be able to even survive without the fantastic work that's done in the NAMUR office. So again, I would like to just use this opportunity to thank Birgit Fischer and Christina Oro Saavedra for their commitment and everyday work for NAMUR. I would also like to take this opportunity to give you a small update. The composition of the Board of Management is about to change, or actually has changed. Yesterday was the NAMUR members meeting, and at the members meeting I had explained that I have taken on a new role at Bayer, so I now have additional responsibilities and I will be working in Switzerland a great deal, which is going to make it very hard for me to put in the same amount of time for my NAMUR work in the future. So Michael Peltz, as my deputy, has promised to take over. He will take on a larger share of our joint term. We didn't want to interrupt the term or make any major changes, but he will pick up where I can't continue. But in order to make sure that the Board of Management can continue the good work that it's doing, and in order to be sure that all the work is spread out evenly across various shoulders, the members' meeting agreed to the proposal to expanding the Board of Management, and Carlos Hedler from Bayer AG was elected as a new member of the Board of Management yesterday. So Carlos, thank you. And many of you were probably here last year and may remember the closing lecture given by Frank van den Bomen, who was giving us an operator perspective. It was a very entertaining lecture. But the questions that he raised or that he elaborated on were, when you are an operator, for example, Covestro, what are the requirements, what are the expectations that you have of a club such as NAMUR? And he explained that very nicely, and this is one of the details from his presentation last year. He basically boiled it down to 3 major points and gave us also some input on communication. But as an asset owner, one question that needs to be addressed is, how do we build our new assets? And he expects from an organization such as NAMUR, is when we're talking about new plants, is new technologies should be promoted. He wants the plant to be future-proof as an operator, and he wants no surprises. After the build phase comes the operation phase, and the first requirement that an operator has is the safe operation of their plant. And we continuously see minor and major events where we realize that safety isn't always 100%. So the solutions that we as NAMUR promote need to contribute to safety. Standardized ways of working help in safeguarding the safety, because if you have a standard idea of how things should work, it helps you across various plants to understand how it's supposed to work or when it's not working. And Frank says another thing that as an operator you need to know is, are we winning or are we losing as the operator? And that needs to be visible at first sight. So one thing that NAMUR needs to make sure is that the operator can always see what's going on in their plants. And another thing that the operator expects from NAMUR is improvement, continuous improvement in the strong competition here in the EMEA region, even globally. We have challenges that we can only rise to if we improve our processes drastically, for example, in order to be more sustainable. We need to make sure that we as NAMUR achieve these goals, contribute to achieving these goals, but we also need to ensure that we communicate about our work in a way that's clear, that's not too technical. And I would like to use the last couple of minutes of this presentation to give you some examples of how we have tried to live up to these expectations that Frank presented to us. When it comes to building and operating, so setting up a new plant, taking it into operation, running it, this is something that we as NAMUR over the last couple of years have addressed by developing a concept that is shown on this slide. Modular automation is what contributes to building and operating a plant. Now, especially with the module type package as the technological standard for modularizing plants, is a concept that clearly supports this building and operation phase. With the modularization of plants, we have provided an opportunity to shortening the build times, to speeding up the commissioning phase. When I was talking to I was together with the Federal Ministry for the Environment. We visited Merck last year, who were very big proponents of this concept and progressed it. They took it from the laboratory phase to the pilot phase to the operation phase, and how they demonstrated how within weeks, if you have a concept that you are building in a laboratory, how it can be brought into practical application within just a few weeks. So if you have a 1-year certification phase, license phase, that of course annihilates the time that you've won, but the module type package gives us the technical opportunity to speed up this whole process and simplify it. For NAMUR, when we think about MTP as a technology, we are also looking at how to improve things together with a number of other associations and manufacturers. We have managed to really build this concept for modularization with the standards that are needed so that we can now implement it. But we were now starting to look at operating phases, and of course we needed a host operation that would now continue to work on MTP. And with Profibus PI, and ZVEI, we have found partners who are going to, now that we have built the concept of MTP, help us operate the concept of NTP. They will take care of many of the running work, of the continuous work on MTP, now that it is going to be rolled out in practice. The other aspect is continuous improvement, and again I have to really express my high regard for Christine, who realized very early on that a large state grant project with Process X, which is a government subsidized program, that was a huge opportunity for us as NAMUR to transfer our concepts into the application phase. The Process X program is oriented by a program called Catena X, which Catena X is a joint organization from the automotive industry that is addressing issues in the supply chain, and logistics field. They have dealt with the question of how can I automate communication to strengthen the supply chain and to make sure that that is more safe, more reliable. And this, which worked in a concept that worked well in the automotive industry, was then taken up again by a project group called Process X, a consortium who, with a vendor agnostic platform for the exchange of data, are now trying to translate this into the process industry. And this platform links various stakeholders in the process industry processes to optimize logistics. So, for example, with the steam park, the predictive steam production concept, that is an opportunity to exchange data. If you are co-located, for example, in a chemical park, where you can share excess steam if somebody else needs it. Similar thing with the waste heat marketplace use case, where we expect EU regulation to impose further requirements on process industry players, and where excess waste heat can be marketed to those who need it via a platform that enables communication. And automated as built is another use case for the Process X consortium, where we want to provide a platform for communication, for connecting systems that will allow things such as automated sill loop calculation or process carbon footprint calculation. This, of course, relies on solutions that we have already got in our drawer, like the NAMUR open architecture, like the asset administration shell, and this, of course, is now we have all these concepts, and with Process X, this is the concept that will now take these things into their practical use, where a platform is used, that these standards help or enable the communication. And also, of course, the other idea of this whole process is how can we monetize the concepts that we have come up with. Now, I was skeptical at first when we started working on this, but Christina always believed that this was the right way for us to go, so we've now filed for participation in the Process X consortium, and we are hoping that this will progress. Now, the last thing that Frank said and that we have taken home as a homework is don't talk too technical, talk in opportunities. I'm pretty sure that Schneider will help us actually translate all the technical information into comprehensible opportunities, into things that people will understand easily. But we also have to improve our communication internally in NAMUR. So I would like to give you a brief update on how we intend to do that. Now, in the past, we had some working groups who were in charge of communication, that were directly that reported directly to the Board of Management. We had one that worked on communication, external communication and internal communication, and one that was in charge of university contacts. And we figured after a while that it would be easier and synergistic to actually merge these two working groups. The Contacts to Universities group, for example, is in charge of the NAMUR award, of selecting the award winner, etc. But when it comes to other parts of the university work, such as promoting NAMUR at universities, raising awareness among students about what NAMUR does, about making working for NAMUR attractive, making it more well known, more widely known, that, of course, is a matter of communication. So because these two topics overlapped so strongly, we decided to merge the two working groups into one, and that also meant, after we had done that, that the work that they are doing had a relaunch. So in order to promote NAMUR, to make NAMUR more visible, to make working for NAMUR more attractive, but also for us who are already in NAMUR, to promote the NAMUR work within our own companies, we have come up with some means of communication. And one thing that features quite frequently in our discussions at these annual meetings is the beer mat calculation. So what we've done is we have come up with these little beer mats. These beer mats, we talked about them yesterday in the Board of Management meeting, and we said the next thing to come is probably the sticker album, the classic sticker album where you collect stickers, and if somebody now collects these beer mats, that they can that they have the full set and have a little album in which to keep them. But that was just joking. We currently only have the beer mats for all the different concepts that NAMUR has developed, and on every beer mat we have an image of the calculation of the benefits that they can bring. And Alexander Klintfort and Dorothea Pantförder's teams did fantastic work here, and I'd like to thank them for this great product that they've come up with. And that brings me to the end of my introduction to the day. It is a huge pleasure for me to see everyone here, that we've all got together here in this still quite new location in Neuss. It's lovely to see the lecture hall so full here. I think we all know that the economic situation that our companies are in is pretty challenging at the moment. So an extra thank you that you've all, despite the challenging environment, have made it here. And let's use the days today and tomorrow to challenge each other, to inspire each other, and to bring about good results for our companies. And I wish you a successful meeting.